Bro, I'm low-key faded, bro.
Highway?
Cowboys blood.
What's this guy supposed to be, the ultimate badass?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Today we're going to talk about the Mike McCarthy era, okay? We're going to rank his best draft picks and his worst draft picks. So let's get into it. Serious? Got no time, baby. Boom. All right. So the Mike McCarthy era, you know, a very tumultuous era here in Cowboys history. You know what I mean? Started out here with the pandemic. So, you know, and then the way that it ended with 2 weak draft classes for the most part. You know, that last one is still kind of to be determined, but not tracking very well. So we're gonna look at his. Oh, and he didn't draft him, and this and that. You always attach the coach, you know, to the era. We did it with Garrett, so now we're gonna do it with Mike McCarthy. You know what I mean? Like, they all work together. You know what I mean? They said, although you did see times where he got overruled by and Will McClay we trust and bust. All right, so what were some of his best picks, you know, under the Mike McCarthy era? Let's talk about it. All right. You know, I think there's an argument to be had as far as, like, you know, your 1A, 1B. You know, was it the first pick, 2020, with CeeDee Lamb, or was it 2021 with Michael Parsons? You know, I think both those years, you know, it just felt they felt perfect for the Cowboys. So CeeDee Lamb fell into the Cowboys' lap there in 2020, and then Michael Parsons, you know what I mean, he landed right into the Cowboys' lap as well. You know, he had some issues, some questions as far as, like, his work ethic and this sort of thing coming out of the draft. You know what I mean? And so which one of those was the better pick? You know, flip a coin. But anyway, CeeDee Lamb, one of the better picks here for the Cowboys under Mike McCarthy. You know, I have him here ranked number 1. Number 2, Michael Parsons. He's about to get paid big time money, baby. And he's a defensive force, you know, an all-pro already. And you know, so he's in the list there. Another top pick, another hit, as you could say. We're going to go over the hits and misses and the top picks. Another hit from McCarthy era, Tyler Smith. This was in 2022, right? There were questions and surprises when the pick was made. Tyler Smith, you know what I mean? There was a lot to be made about his offsides, you know, penalties and this sort of thing. But he really cleaned that up here at the next level with the Cowboys. And, you know, he's been a force here. He is now one of the veterans on this offensive line. Young brawler, mauler, very tough. And he's going to be leading the way to this young core on the offensive line. So he's one of the hits for Mike McCarthy, you know, during his time here with the Cowboys. And definitely one of the better picks, and definitely a big hit for the Cowboys. So Tyler Smith is in that list there. All right, those are the biggest hits, right? So, and you can talk about some guys that have been, you know, pretty good. You know, players here that have lingered a little bit. You know, Osa Odigizua, I think he gets like an honorable mention, I guess you could say. Osa. You know, he's been a steady force here. You know, he's been pretty durable. He definitely hit his ceiling, though. You know what I mean? He was I think he came into the league with a relatively, you know, decent floor, but a low ceiling. So he hit the ceiling there, and because you still have we're waiting for him to develop. We're waiting for him to develop. That's it, bro. You know what I mean? He is what he is, and that's not to say anything bad, but he is a reliable player. He got a second contract here for the Cowboys. So I consider him as a hit, as an honorable mention, Osa Odigizua, you know? So shout out to him. He makes the list here. Who else is in this list? Deron Bland in the 5th round, 2022. That was a late round steal for the Cowboys. You know, they're going to figure this thing out as far as like, you know, where do you go with his contract? How much money is he going to be getting paid? You know, and speaking of cornerbacks, you know, we can't miss Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs, you know, was a first round talent who slipped to the second round. Cowboys got a steal with him. Had a amazing season there, record breaking, record tying. I don't remember if he broke the record or tied it with Everson Walls, but you know, he's been productive, you know. But I think here in recent years, he's kind of had a little bit of falling out with the front office, and even some of the fan base has kind of turned his back on him. You know what I mean? So and he's kind of had this injury bug that the Diggs brothers apparently have. You know, Stephon and Trayvon, they cannot stay healthy. But I think Trayvon Diggs, for the most part, he's a hit. You know what I mean? He's a starting outside cornerback, all pro, and he locks it down. You know what I mean? As far as like business decisions, obviously we know that. We know what the track record is there for that, but he's a ball hawk. You know, he'll take the ball away, and you can count on him when he's healthy. You know what I mean? Can't take that away from him. So Trayvon Diggs is a hit for me. He makes a hit here for Mike McCarthy's best draft picks under Mike McCarthy. Honorable mention, another one here, you know, it kind of squeaks into the honorable mention, would be somebody like a Tyler Biadasz. You know what I mean? He gave us some starter reps there at center, and he moved on, you know, he moved on to Washington. I think that's about it. You know, as far as like, those are the best picks under the Mike McCarthy era, in my opinion. Let me know in the comments who you believe are the best draft picks under the Mike McCarthy era. Now, let's talk about the worst picks under the Mike McCarthy era as well. That's the interesting thing to take a look at as well. You know, some of the worst picks. I think his number one worst pick going to be Kelvin Joseph in the second round of the 2021 draft. They should have never have drafted this guy. There was a lot of better players available. And it's just this thing that the Cowboys like to roll the dice on some of these players, right? And Kelvin Joseph had a lot of off-field, a lot of knucklehead stuff. You know, he was a passenger in a drive-by shooting murder. I don't know how Roger Goodell didn't suspend him, dude, for like forever. I mean, he was it was crazy, dude. And then obviously, I think Mazi Smith, he's kind of tracking towards, you know, a bust as well. You know what I mean? He would have to turn it around this season. I mean, he might, man. I think he finished the season better. You know, so I think there is a glimmer of hope there for him. But right now, you know, Mazi Smith looks like he's going to be one of Mike McCarthy's misses, you know, under the Mike McCarthy era. Sam Williams in the 2022 draft, he's a miss. That's a second round pick on Sam Williams, and you know, he's had a couple of sacks, you know, here and there, but the penalties have extended drives for the opposing team and just put us behind the eight ball in several games, several key knucklehead plays that, you know, really turn the tide in some of the games. That's huge, man. And now he's banged up as well, so he's a miss for Mike McCarthy. Early round pick. You know, let's see what else who else is in here that's kind of shitty. Man, I don't know. Maybe honorable mention Neville Gallimore. Maybe he's kind of in between. You know, he's kind of in that gray area because he did give him some snaps early, but then he kind of fell off. Had a lot of injuries, kind of disappeared, and then they didn't re-sign him. So he's kind of in that gray area of a hit and miss. He's kind of like, you know, you can flip a coin on that. Reggie Robinson as well in 2020, a fourth round pick, never became anything. That was a total bust there. Chauncey Golston, rotational player. I expected a lot more from him, you know, being as high as he went as a third rounder. He was a miss. Nashawn Wright was a huge miss in the third round. So what a stupid pick that was, dude. I will never forget that pick that when the name was announced, nobody had him on any radar, wasn't even talking about him. I don't even know if he was in the beast for for Dane Brugler. I think that was another talking point. That was a huge miss. That was 2021. Nashawn Wright. Who else was a miss here, bro? Those are the huge misses from me. You know what I mean? Well, what about DeMarvin Overshown? I don't know if I can put him in as a hit or a miss either, because he's kind of on that Neville Gallimore trajectory as well. Kind of like shows some flashes, but man, just banged up a lot. You know, and when you're banged up a lot, you're kind of tracking on the bad side, the miss. You know, as far as that, but 2 major injuries, tracking the wrong way. And I mean, a great player when healthy, but when healthy, I hate that crap. I hate when we talk about when healthy. I hate that crap, bro. We'll see where he's at, man. I think he's kind of teetering between that. He could still be a hit, but he could still be a miss. This season and the next are huge for DeMarvin Overshown. So, guys, let me know what you think about some of these misses. I think you know, we got to talk about the 2024, right? Tyler Guyton. You know, is that looking like a miss? It definitely doesn't look like a hit. Marshawn Nealon, we don't know yet on that. I think he's there. Cooper Beebe, I would say that he's a hit. I would put him in that list there, Cooper Beebe. But from that 2024, Mike McCarthy's last draft class, Cooper Beebe is probably the headliner as far as like who's going to be the best player from that draft class. Is probably Cooper Beebe. You know what I mean? Nealon might be able to show up something. And if Guyton put in the work, maybe he'll be something. But guys, those are my hits and misses under the Mike McCarthy era. Let me know who your hits were and who were your misses in the comments. I'm curious to see what you guys think about the draft picks under Mike McCarthy. That's all I have, guys.
Yeah, old school, baby.